The following WCIA3 Weather special presentation is brought to you by Muhammad Ace Hardware and Hood's Ace Hardware in Gibson City. This is Weathering the Storm on WCIA3.
Hello and welcome to Weathering the Storm. I'm Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lighting, joined with Jack Griffin, Amelia Henderson, and Jacob Dickey.
During this 30-minute weather special, we're going to talk about when Central Illinois is most likely going to see a tornado, as well as what you should do in case one is bearing down on you and where you should go.
And we'll also take a look back at the hailstorm that caused millions in damage around Central Illinois and how the Weather Service goes about issuing warnings for these types of severe weather events.
Plus, have you thought about your pets during severe weather? We'll take a look at some things you can do to keep your pets calm and safe when thunderstorms approach. And we're going to take a look at some weather folklore. Is it myth or fact?
And we come to you here standing in Meadowbrook Park, where almost to the day, 25 years ago, an F3 tornado ripped right through here, went into Urbana, causing extensive damage. And for one family who survived that tornado, it would make them rethink how they get notified about severe weather.
Oh, that is a tornado?
April 19th, 1996. A tornado just ripped through the south side of Urbana, damaging hundreds of homes.
I just was thankful that my boys were fine, because we can rebuild.
Kathy Schuett survived the terrifying twister.
It sounded like a file cabinet hitting the wall. And that was it. That was all there was, and it was real quick.
Flash forward 25 years later, and Kathy still describes it the same as she did in 1996.
It sounded like one of the file cabinets from his office hit the wall.
That day is still Illinois' largest tornado outbreak on record. Luckily, Kathy's husband was paying attention to the weather that day.
He came to me and said, "You need to get the kids and go to the basement."
Taking her husband's advice, she grabbed the kids and went for cover.
My older son said I was yelling for my husband to get down. I was yelling, "Get down, get down, get down." And so he just closed the basement door and got down a few steps, and it hit.
The house took a direct hit from the F3 tornado, leaving damage everywhere.
I remember you called 911, and I remember he said, "I think we've been hit by a tornado."
Alive, but in shock of what just happened, the Schuetts were left to pick up the pieces.
He said, "We'll be okay. We can rebuild and we'll take care. We'll be okay."
But knowing severe weather season was just beginning, they wanted to be even better prepared for next time. So they got a NOAA Weather Alert radio.
Since we had that experience, it was a piece of equipment that we thought that, you just have to have.
That NOAA Weather Alert radio would work great for the Schuetts for many years to come. But instead of hearing this,
Doppler radar indicated a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near
the Schuetts and, the rest of Champaign County both would hear nothing but this for the past 14 months. But the question is, why?
Yeah, Kevin, I'd like to know why my signal has been down for so long.
You and me both. Well, that's why we started doing a little bit of digging. The Lincoln National Weather Service office operates 9 different weather radio transmitters, but the one for Champaign County has been down since early 2020.
It was more than just, we had a cable that needed to be replaced.
Ongoing tower issues at the previous location forced Chris Miller and his team at the Lincoln Weather Service office to find a new spot to broadcast from.
We were on the sidelines waiting for whether it was higher ups with Weather Service headquarters or NOAA, and especially the owners of the tower and towers that we had talked to come to some kind of an agreement.
We wanted more answers, so we launched a Target 3 investigation and went to Congressman Rodney Davis, who later sent a letter to the very top of NOAA, urging them to help bring this matter to a close.
Twice the deals fell through. Tower owner, just before the end of 2019, right during the holiday season, pulled out from the deal. Late fall of 2020 then, when we were expecting to go back on the air, that the second attempt had failed and that we needed to start the process all over again.
NOAA needed a tower to broadcast its signal from. Well, that's where WCIA stepped in. We thought to ourselves, you know what? We might have something that'll work. Behind me here is our 1,000-foot broadcast tower. It's the same tower that gets you your TV signal at home. Well, back in March, we made an agreement with NOAA to allow them to house their NOAA weather radio transmitter on this tower, which is going to be broadcasting life-saving weather information for many years to come.
The third attempt, working with WCIA and Nexstar was huge.
And we're happy to say the tower crews will be installing equipment on our tower very soon, allowing for the signal to return this severe weather season.
The bottom line is we all have the same mission, and the mission is we want to help protect lives and property, and we want to get that information out there in as many different formats as possible so that people can ultimately stay safe.
And as for the Schuetts,
You really have to prepare, you really have to be ready, you really have to take warning seriously.
You know, pay attention. It's because I didn't think it could happen, and it can.
When your local meteorologists issue a severe weather warning or tornado warning, many are left with only minutes to find a safe location in their homes. It's always best to have a plan before severe weather strikes.
But I have a plan for my family so that we're prepared, it's already there. So if a warning goes off from the FEMA app, I'm all ready to go.
Some people are interested in seeing storms firsthand. However, one place you never want to go when a warning is issued is outside or by windows.
There's people in the community who they're interested in the storm, and so they hear the alert, they want to go outside, they want to see what's going on. We caution those people to go take cover, take the warning seriously, and do not go outside.
Before heading to a safe location in your home, there are a few things you should bring with you. Those include bottles of water, a phone charger, a flashlight, batteries, and of course, pillows and blankets. After you have all your supplies, next you'll need to head to the safest location in your home.
The most important thing is to get to an interior room on the lowest level. So getting to, if you have a basement, if not a crawl space, and if not, somewhere where there's no windows in the inside of the house.
And if you don't have a basement, your next best option is an interior room without any windows, or of course, a bathroom. Now the bathroom is always a great option, not only because of the piping, but also the tiles add more strength to the walls around you. Now the next thing you need to do is grab your pillows, your blankets, pop them in the tub. Of course, don't forget your pets. I have my dog here, then all you have to do is hop in the tub.
Weathering this storm continues here on WCIA 3.
We spend a lot of time talking about tornado warnings, but we still need to respect the threat that severe thunderstorms can bring, including large hail. Central Illinois learned that last year on July 11th.
July 11th of 2020, we had a major hailstorm come through, kind of down the corridor of I-74.
For State Farm agent Greg Kurtenbaugh and insurance agents across the region, 2020 was a busy year for hail claims.
State Farm last year paid out about $375 million just in claims for hail last year, which ranks second out of all states in the United States, Texas being number one.
While hailstorms are costly, there are things you can do ahead of time to be prepared.
Before that storm hits, months before, weeks before, meet with your insurance agent. Just make sure you understand the coverages you have. Make sure you understand what deductibles you're responsible for. Make sure you have the coverages that you need.
After the storm, you'll work with contractors just like this to repair any damage to your property. But there are some things you should be aware about.
When you're looking for contractors, it's important to get somebody you trust and somebody you know. Ask for referrals. Always get 2 or 3 estimates when you're getting any work done. There's some fraud out there with contractors. They storm chasers come in, is what we call them. They'll climb up on your roof without asking, or they'll knock on your door and say you've got hail damage, whether you do or whether you don't. Never pay for the work up front. That's just good advice. So make sure the work is completed and you're satisfied with it. Ask if there's warranties with it. Those are all things you can do when you're picking out a contractor to make sure your roof is completed and done correctly.
Remember, you can always check with your insurance agent first on how to make repairs to your property before the contractor begins.
Tornadoes can occur at any point of the year, but there are some key periods where they're actually a little bit higher likelihood to occur. That includes the month of April, the top spot there, 583 on average, followed closely behind with the months of May and June. But we can even look at the specific part of the day that a tornado is likely to occur based upon the hour here. Notice how things ramp up in the afternoon with the peak time being at around 5 p.m. Now, how about where in central Illinois are tornadoes most likely? Well, here's the thing. They have occurred in every single county. Each one of these lines is actually representing a tornado track that has occurred since 1950. No place left unscathed, so you always have to be prepared during severe weather season.
If you happen to be caught outside during a lightning storm with no available shelter nearby, the following actions can help reduce your risks. Never lie flat on the ground. Crouch down in a ball-like position with your hands tucked and hands over your ears so that you are down low with minimal contact to the ground. If you're caught on an elevated surface such as a hill, a mountain, or even ridges, you want to immediately get to lower ground. And never take shelter under an isolated tree because they can easily be struck by lightning and catch on fire. Immediately get out of and away from lakes, ponds, and any other bodies of water. And lastly, stay away from objects that conduct electricity, such as barbed wire, fences, and power lines.
We've had weather lore and sayings for generations, but where did they come from? What do they mean? And most importantly, are they even accurate? We're going to look at just one of them today. The red skies at night, sailors delight. Red skies in the morning, sailors take warning. That's by far the most common one. It's the most well-known. It's actually been around for a long time. It's in fact recorded in the book of Matthew in the Bible. So it's definitely the most well-known one. So we'll talk about that with its two portions of it, the red sky at night and the red sky in the morning. We'll start off though with red sky at night, sailors delight. Everything with our atmosphere in the northern hemisphere generally moves from the west to the east. So as we look off to the west, you can see that there's an area of high pressure over there. And as we go towards sunset looking west, you can see that we've got the nice red sky there. So that's going to be the delight portion of it. The meaning of that is due to the fact that we've got the sun going through a thicker portion of the atmosphere during sunset. So it's not coming straight down anymore. It's why you lose a lot of the blue sky aspect of it. We also have, with high pressure, more in the way of some dust particles. It's a more stable air mass. And so that gives us more in the way of red skies during our sunset. So that's why we can assume that since everything comes from west to east, high pressure, which is more stable and is quiet weather, has a higher concentration of dust particles, will be on the way for us for the day tomorrow, let's say, for example. So good weather on the way when our skies are looking red to the west at sunset. Now at sunrise though, we again have kind of the same situation. The sunshine is going through a thicker portion of the atmosphere. There's high pressure that it's going through, but the problem could be explained by the fact that high pressure would be to the east of us, and that to the west of us there could potentially be maybe some rain showers on the way. And that's why we take warning with that, because that means that more unsettled weather could be on the way.
Weathering this storm continues here on WCIA 3.
Severe weather tends to be stressful for many of us. However, sometimes we forget how severe weather affects our pets. Animals are known for sensing severe weather moving in, and some animals can become fearful just like humans. You can tell if an animal is anxious by looking for certain behavior patterns.
Dogs actually sense storms before we know that they're coming, so sometimes if there's a storm brewing, you'll notice your dog is a little bit more anxious, maybe they're panting more, a little bit more vocal. A lot of dogs will get more clingy too and want to stay right next to you.
We can see their agitation in those that are agitated by it sometimes. Usually that manifests in barking, sometimes it can be pacing, being a little bit more destructive than usual.
If you know ahead of time that your animal does get scared during severe weather, one thing you can do, head to your local pet store, grab any of the following supplies such as a thunder shirt for both your dog and your cat, or even pheromone spray to help prevent them from getting scared when severe weather strikes.
It's kind of like a big hug. You know, it wraps them up and it compresses a little bit without being uncomfortable. It makes them feel secure. It gives them a little extra level of comfort. It's like you're there hugging them.
They kind of swaddle your dog, similar to swaddling a baby, or like if you put a weighted blanket on, it can be helpful with anxiety.
For dogs, it can be in a collar, or it can be a spray that we put on their blankets or their toys. It is just something that is supposed to relax them.
If the thunder shirt or pheromone spray doesn't work, local veterinarians say there are always other options to consider.
So we do have composure treats. We carry them in clinic, but you can find them at your local pet stores as well. They can just help provide a little bit of calming for both dogs and cats. Sometimes that's not quite enough, and we'll actually prescribe medication. So trazodone is one of the more common ones that you would give maybe an hour before the storm starts, and that can really help calm them down.
For more information, you can head to our website at WCIA.com.
Much of the focus on severe weather safety is often spent on tornadoes, hail, and damaging winds. Those are all things you can see. But the #1 most extreme weather killer? It's extreme heat.
Make no mistake, a heat injury can be fatal, and so it has to be taken seriously.
Dr. Michael Smith, a staff physician in the emergency department at Kirby Medical Center in Monticello, treats patients for heat exhaustion and heat stroke every year.
Extreme heat is very dangerous for us human beings because past a certain point in absolute temperature and relative humidity, we lose our ability to accommodate to the environment.
Heat emergencies have 3 stages to watch for: heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Heat cramps are the first sign of heat emergencies and can be reversed with basic first aid. However, heat exhaustion and heat stroke are increasingly dangerous.
Heat exhaustion is feeling signs and symptoms of illness after being exposed to heat for a prolonged period. Heat stroke is the immediate life-threatening emergency, so somebody becomes delirious, confused, in extreme cases unconscious. Certainly those cases of altered mental status is an immediate call 911 and get that person to an emergency facility for care.
When temperatures soar, avoid strenuous activities. Wear light clothing. Watch for heat cramps and heat exhaustion. Look for heat stroke signs. Never leave people or pets in a closed vehicle. And check on family members, neighbors, and those more susceptible to the heat. When severe weather threatens, make sure you have at least 2 ways to get severe weather alerts. Whether it's through WCIA on TV, live streaming on our WCIA digital platforms, using your mobile device, relying on outdoor warning sirens, or using your NOAA weather radio, ensuring you have at least 2 ways to get weather alerts helps keep you and your family safe. One relatively new feature available to most mobile devices is Wireless Emergency Alerts, or WEA. If you have a WEA-enabled smartphone, you get weather alerts for tornado warnings and tornado emergencies, flash flood emergencies, extreme wind warnings, blizzard warnings, and ice storm warnings. Coming new in July of this year, severe thunderstorm warnings that meet a specific criterion or tag will also be sent through wireless emergency alerts. Let's find out more about the 3 different categories for severe thunderstorm warnings and which one will be sent to your phones via wireless emergency alerts. A severe thunderstorm is defined as a storm capable of at least 60-mile-per-hour winds or quarter-sized hail. We get storms like that all of the time. The current system allows for us to issue those warnings when we see that as a possibility. The new system, though, coming this summer, puts it in 3 different categories. Our first category for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail is the base, no tag. When we have storms like this roll through our neighborhood here, you'll have limbs come down, maybe some minor damage to outbuildings. Your lawn furniture and trash cans will blow away and cause some minor issues as far as it goes. They're still dangerous storms, but the new system allows for categories to become more severe the higher we go. That's why our second category here, the considerable tag, severe thunderstorm warning for considerable, that is, 70-mile-per-hour winds and golf ball sized hail. We start to see more hail damage to cars from storms like this. Those storms can really cause some problems even with the winds. Notice the trees start to blow down here. Some power lines can become damaged, causing outages for a few hours in your neighborhoods. These storms are more severe, but they're not the worst type we can get. The highest level reserved now for destructive tag here, and that's for severe thunderstorm warnings with 80-mile-per-hour winds and baseball-sized hail. Look at what that can do if that storm comes through your neighborhood. Some significant damage. We have trees coming down, widespread power line infrastructure damage. Semis can even roll in these types of storms, leaving your neighborhood an absolute mess after the storm passes on through. To learn more about the severe thunderstorm warnings and the 3 tags that we have for them now, plus wireless emergency alerts, and if your phone has them enabled, you can do so by visiting our website, WCIA.com.
Besides some notable severe weather events in the southeastern U.S., it's actually been a fairly quiet March and April in regards to severe weather. But what does the rest of the spring look like? As always, there is no real way that we can exactly forecast what's going to happen, but what we can do is look at the big picture trends to give us a clue as to what things could look like. And there's no better trend to look at than Enso, or El Niño Southern Oscillation. Enso is the cycle of warmer than normal or cooler than normal sea surface temperatures in the eastern and central portions of the equatorial Pacific caused by a reversal of the winds. we've been in a La Nina since October, and we just got through a La Nina winter when the waters in the Pacific are cooler than normal. And that trend of La Nina looks to continue to this day.
The reason that that has an impact on our climate, even remotely here in the Midwest, is because the Pacific is one of the largest sources of and sinks of energy because it's a giant body of water. And so it affects the flow of the jet stream.
With a La Nina like we have, especially when it lasts into the spring, this pushes the jet stream further to the north while also causing it to become more amplified on average. In El Nino, on the other hand, that jet stream is what we call zonal, and that's a straighter and it's actually more of a quiet pattern compared to La Nina. So we don't expect as much in the way of big-time severe weather events during an El Nino pattern.
When it comes to severe weather, pretty much throughout from the southeast U.S., from the Gulf Coast all the way up to the central Midwest, including most of the state of Illinois, we tend to see a little bit more active severe weather season during La Nina, which is the phase we're in now.
In conclusion, due to La Nina, the overall picture is that this could be a more active severe weather season than normal, but we have to wait to see how more localized events play into the trend. Hopefully, this continues to be a calm year for us across the state. Dr. Ford, though, does give us some good news in regards to fatalities.
We've gone 3 consecutive years in Illinois without having a tornado-related fatality. I would say I'd credit that to meteorologists such as yourselves, providing good warnings, good awareness from National Weather Service offices, that sort of thing. The last time we went 4 consecutive years without a tornado-related fatality in Illinois was back in the mid-90s.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to Weathering the Storm. We really hope that you picked up something from the show.
But if you missed any part of the show, you can head to our website at WCIA.com to watch the whole show in its entirety.
And as always, follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, as well as download the WCIA3 Weather app.
If you'd like to win a NOAA Weather Radio, you can go to our website, WCIA.com, to enter to win our Midland Weather Radio Sweepstakes.
We hope you stay safe during this upcoming severe weather season. As always, keep an eye to the sky. Keep it locked right here on WCIA. Have a great night.
This has been Weathering the Storm, brought to you by Muhammad Ace Hardware and Hood's Ace Hardware in Gibson City.